Hello, astrology peeps. It's Karen coming to you from beautiful downtown Santa Clarita, California, from Little Blue Lotus Astrology. I'm sorry I missed last week. Um, some of you know that I had a medical emergency in my family a little while back, and last week, right, right before the eclipse, my sister passed. She'd been sick for a very long time. And so she was released from her body right before the solar eclipse last Sunday. And that was a very, as the yogis would say, that was a very auspicious time for her to transition from this earth life to her next life. So in the meantime, I was pretty busy with some family obligations, and so I wasn't able to do the video I was planning to do last week. So this week, I am going to teach you the mantra that I've been talking about for quite a while, the balancing mantra. And then I'd like to say a few words about Robert Redford. So, first, the mantra. Now, excuse me. I have two Bach flower essences that I talked about in another video some months back. I'm going to remind you about these two Bach flower essences because we're headed into some real crazy times. And so these two flower essences, one is aspen, and that's to help feel secure. And the other one is vervain, which is helping to relax and calm you down. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on the Bach Flower Essence website. And I would suggest that we start working with that again. Chug it if you need to. Put it in some water. Take it throughout the day. Take it before you go to bed at night. But this mantra is something that's a very powerful tool to center and be calm and be still. When so many things are happening and we're bombarded with all the stimulation from all the different news, and most of it's bad, some of it's good. Remember, some of it's good. Things are changing for the better. If we can just look for those signs, it's happening. But we're overstimulated. We're way overstimulated. This particular mantra was taught to me by a man in the 90s who was an ordained Swami as well as an ordained Buddhist priest. This guy was a psychic and spiritual powerhouse. And it's interesting to me, he taught me this mantra in the late 90s, so almost 30 years ago. And he taught it to me alone. I was with my husband at the time, and he didn't teach it to him, taught it to me. And I remember not asking him to teach me a mantra, that he had just gone into the other room, wrote this down, and said, "Come here, I want to teach you this." Now, I was battling Crohn's disease. I was pretty sick. And so I'm assuming that that was maybe the primary reason he wanted to teach it to me. He thought it would help heal me of the Crohn's, which I do not have anymore. It's incurable, but I do not have it. And anybody who's interested, I'm happy to tell you how I kicked it out the door, shut the door, locked it, it's never come back. But I also have the feeling that he taught me this mantra because of how truly psychic he was. And he could see that at some day in the far future, like I said, 30 years hence, 25, 30 years hence, that this would come in handy for me to disperse to very many, many, many people. So you must know that when you learn a mantra, if you're learning it from an advanced soul, the energetic signature of what that mantra did for that soul that's teaching you the mantra is imparted in the mantra. So this was something unasked for from me. A beautiful piece of very positive, powerful karma that was unasked for. And because he was obviously a master and had gotten very advanced with the help of this mantra. And so that energy is imparted in the mantra that I am going to be giving you right now. So, how do we do this? We sit comfortably in a chair. If you're limber enough to sit in yogi position on the floor with your legs crossed, back straight, but not uncomfortably straight. Feet flat on the floor if you're not in a yogic position. And you take a deep breath, you close your eyes, and this is the mantra. Aum Shahang Shinzin Om Soha. 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 So what this mantra does is it pulls in all of our energy that's fluttering and spattering and splashing around, brings it all in to our spine and centers it, and then starts to circulate it in the spine. If there are any blocks, if there's any fear, if there's any anxiety, this rolling energy that's moving around and around our spine is going to move past, move through, help dissolve, help to neutralize those blocks, and help us become very, very still. And you know that in the stillness is where we find peace, is where we find wisdom, is where we find the messages that we've been trying to get. So, what else do I want to say about this? Okay, I forgot to mention, we talked about this before, mudra. Mudra this is a basic one. There's many of them. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. This is a basic mudra. And what it does is it closes off the energy circuit. So that if you're just sitting with your hands out, that's another kind of meditation. But for the kind of meditation that we're doing on my program, closing off the energy circuits so that the energy isn't leaking out your hands is a good idea. It makes the mantra stronger. It makes the energy stronger, more powerful. Let me know in the comments. You know how I love me my comments. Let me know how that felt for you when you heard it. Let me know how you experience it when you do it yourselves. You can, again, the secret to mantra is to start out kind of loud, kind of fast. This is something that's normally not taught when you do mantra, because what it does is it will help to disperse all the outside stimulation, the thoughts that are wandering around. And so if you're concentrating on fast and loud, it's spinning all those distractions out, and you will naturally start to slow it down, and you will naturally start to be softer until you finally can't say the mantra. It's already vibrating inside your being. You don't need to say it anymore. In fact, you can't. You can't speak. That's how quiet you become doing the mantra, any good mantra. So mudra, back straight, feet flat on the floor, unless you're in yogic position with your legs crossed, eyes closed, center on the third eye, and I will print out the mantra syllables in the description. They're very simple. They're pretty phonetic. Aum Shahang Shinzin Om Soha. You can sing it high, you can sing it low, you can sing it medium, whatever is comfortable for your voice. That is a very powerful mantra. So I look forward to hearing from many of you about this mantra. And now let's talk about Robert Redford's chart. I'm not going to go into it real deeply with a lot of detail, but I do want to say, I think a lot of us already know what a special soul he was. Extraordinary special soul. What you may not know is that for many, many, many years, he's been working on the other side with environmental issues, with animal rights issues. And it's an unusual concept. And I will tell you how I know this. I had a very good friend in the 90s who was a tremendous psychic person, tremendous psychic healer. And she told me, she said, yeah, Robert Redford is also working on the other side, in the invisible world, beyond the veil, to do the things that he's doing on the earth plane right now. And I'm like, oh, I knew what a powerful psychic she was. So I thought, okay, how do you know this? And she said, yeah, she had a dream once, although it wasn't really a dream. It was one of those dream/experiences. And she was in the astral approaching a desk that Robert Redford was sitting at. And this is in the 90s. And she was like, oh, what am I doing here? And she was applying for a job with him and his organization to help work on the other side for animal rights and environmental issues. And she said, I knew it wasn't just a dream. I knew that this was a real thing. This is what he's doing. He had a vast organization of people, souls on the other side that were helping him work on the issues that he did in this lifetime on the earth plane. So that was like, wow, I didn't even know that kind of thing happens, but apparently it does. So anyway, I looked at his chart. He had a Leo sun. Made a lot of sense, right? Because I always thought he looked best when he had that kind of golden hair in certain movie roles that he had. That just seemed more natural to him than other color hair, the brown hair or the reddish brown hair. The golden hair, that Leo mane, seemed to express who he really was better than the other kind of hair. But anyway, he had this beautiful Leo sun and a beautiful trine, which is a really positive power energetic between the sun and the Jupiter in Sagittarius in his chart. What did that mean? It made him generous. It made him open-minded. It made him, because the Jupiter was in Sag and in the 9th house, which is the natural home for Sagittarian energy, he was always curious. He was always studying. He was always reading. He was always learning. And when he went to different places, he wanted to know about the culture of the place that he was in. He wanted to know about the religion, about the food, about how they dressed, what they thought, how they acted. Very curious person, a scholar, a natural teacher. Sun trine Jupiter in Sag is a natural teacher. We could see that in his interviews. We could see that with him opening the Sundance Film Festival for people that were outside the mainstream of Hollywood. He wanted to promote people that were truly talented, that weren't connected to, your mainstream Hollywood moguls. Um, let's see, I'm looking at my notes. Very expansive. But even though he had Mars and Leo as well, and they're pretty good at liking attention generally, and they're pretty. One of their flaws is they're easily manipulated because flattery will move them in one direction or another. And he wasn't that way. He was a leader. He was he was nat he his he took up when he was on screen. Everybody watched him. That's that Leo sun, that Mars and Leo. But he had 4 planets in Virgo. 4 planets, 40% of his chart in Virgo. That's what made him a retiring, reserved, cautious kind of guy. Didn't really like all the pomp and glory of his Hollywood days. Wasn't comfortable. Virgos aren't comfortable in the limelight. And I saw an interview with him last week where he's asked about why he doesn't like the limelight. And he says, I'm shy. Robert Redford was shy. So 40% of the chart in Virgo. Hardworking, detail oriented, very service oriented. How can I help? That's a big Virgo thing. And I also want to say that all that Virgo, which is Earth, helped make him feel very connected to Mother Earth, very connected to Mother Earth and all of her creatures, where he needed to live on his big ranch in Utah, which was very secluded, very private, but very large, so that Jupiter in expansive Sagittarius could always feel like he had enough room. Interestingly enough, Sag also rules horses, and he did have a special relationship with horses. Was the star in the movie The Horse Whisperer. I bet that he was already a horse whisperer, which is why he would have been a great natural person for that role. One last thing I think I want to say about Redford's chart is that he had his North Node right on the cusp of his 10th house. And the North Node for all of us is unfamiliar, but something that Spirit wants us to work at in this lifetime. It's unfamiliar, it's kind of scary, it's uncomfortable. And his was in Capricorn at the top of the chart. Now, the very top of the chart was 29 degrees Sag, and that North Node was 1 degree next to it. Very karmically close. 29 degrees Sagittarius, interestingly to me, was that he was closing off a period of a number of lifetimes as a public figure, and a public figure in the role of teacher, scholar, philosopher. I thought that was very interesting. So, interested in comments about that as well. I'm so glad to be back. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for tuning in. And oh my gosh, the new subscribers, I have gotten like 1,000 new subscribers. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful. Welcome to all my new people. I love comments, so be free to comment. I try to answer everybody, and see how long that lasts, but I do try to answer everybody. So thank you for all your patience. Thank you for all your blessings. I'm working on how to get a prayer list started for us. But thinking about Robert Redford leaving the planet. Extraordinary soul. If I ever saw him, I would thank him. Thank him for all the wonderful things that he's done for us in movies, in art, his generosity for the earth. Till next time, Sundance has left the building. Bye bye.